Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret, and when I say everybody, I'm talking specifically to people who watch me on a regular basis. If you just found this video out of nowhere, you're probably not going to be interested in this because you don't know me from Adam's house cat, and so you don't know what's going on in my life. So you'll probably be really bored. You know, I bring that up because every now and then I have a thumbnail that for some reason attracts people out of the woodwork. And I think the last video I put up was one of those. I had the words yucky yarn, and I think that happened to be very appealing for anybody in the yarn community, and they tuned in to see. But whenever that happens, I mean, let's get straight. You know that I am not a person who has set out to be the next big YouTuber. If that was the case, I'd probably focus solely on tutorials. Where tutorials now are, when I do them, I'm driven solely by your interest in what I have done. It's not that I'm sitting here trying to say, what can I do to be the next great yarn YouTuber? That's not me. I started this channel so that I could find friends who were like-minded about yarn crafting, because I am a techno person by nature, and my friends were making fun of me because it just didn't align with who they thought I was, if you know what I mean. And when I started my channel, I thought I was talking to a very small select group of the Cast-Off crew. And that's now a defunct group. They don't do that anymore, but that's how I got interested in yarn, yarn YouTube in the first place. And then from there, as I developed relationships with people, I started talking about other things like stuff in the kitchen or whatever. And it's so great because what I found, the most important thing I found from having a YouTube channel is not what I jibber jabber about to you, but what I have learned from you in that comment section. That is one thing I love most about YouTube, is the comment section. But it's also the thing I despise the most, as a matter of fact. My regular viewers are kind and they're nice and they give me helpful tips and stuff like that. But every now and then you get people who are just flat out rude. What I really don't understand is why, when people are behind their keyboard, they think it's okay to say anything that pops into their minds. For example, if you were to go over to someone's house, they invited you over for dinner, say, and you had a great time, and when you were leaving, you would say, thank you so much for having me over, but you know what? Your wallpaper in your dining room is really ugly. Would that be okay? No, that's not okay. You know that's not okay. So why would someone who puts a camera in front of themselves in their home, who takes the time to choose what they want to say because they think someone else might be interested in it, who edits and who really invests the time to invite you into their world, why do you think it would be okay to say something like, I like listening to you, but those snapping sounds are annoying? Okay, another comment I had was someone said, I like what you have to say, but I hate that music. And that person, this was on another video, and that person, I kind of called her out on it, but she said, well, you should be able to take constructive criticism or you shouldn't be on YouTube. Breaks. All right, let's define constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is something that is not welcome unless you ask for it. Otherwise, it's just criticism. An exception to that would be a parent talking to a child, or a teacher, trying to a child, because you're in a situation that is defined by constructive criticism. But as from adult to adult, it's not constructive criticism if it's not asked for, if it's not requested. So hush. So sometimes I let it go and just don't say anything at all, like I did on the annoying snapping sound. But other times, I may say, I'm sorry you didn't like that. YouTube's a big place. Why don't you just go find somebody you do like watching? But more importantly, I wish people would just use the same manners that they would use to people in person to people online. And it would be a better place, right? So this got me thinking about who are you? Who are the people who watch my videos? Well, of course, that's sort of a broad question, but YouTube analytics can kind of tell us those things, and I thought you might find it interesting as I did, to see what YouTube could actually tell us about this group as a whole. So there's different time periods that you can, select up there, with the last month, the last quarter, and so I chose lifetime. Now, granted, the whole time I've had a YouTube account, I haven't been making videos, but that's okay. It just takes every video I've ever made and gleans this information. And I thought this was kind of interesting, so let's talk about it. So where do you live? I have this sorted by watch time, which is more valuable than views because I want to know who is spending time on my channel. And not surprisingly, it's the English-speaking countries that rank at the top. Now, YouTube gives us the top 50 results, but it is possible to use exports to view up to 500 results, which is pretty impressive. And here's a bar chart of your ages. And again, I don't find this surprising at all. The younger set, 13 to 17 years, that's, the lowest one. And the largest amount would be 55 to 64, which is my age group. So that's interesting. But if you look, it's pretty evenly spaced between 25 to 65 plus. I think it may be safe to guess that all ages like crafting. And then while we have an 82.7% female viewership, 17.3% register as males. And this is just kind of fun to look at. Device type. Most people watch my videos on a mobile phone, and then computer, and then tablet. That looks almost even, pretty close, isn't it? That doesn't surprise me. And then of course you've got TV. And then of course a little bitty bit is a game console. So as you can see, everybody's got a different kind of device. And so when you ask me, where is the description box? I really don't know, because I don't know what you're watching on. And it further complicates things because not all mobile phones are the same. For example, this is the operating system, and we have more Android users than we do iOS users, Apple iPhones. I don't know what app you're using when you're watching these things, so I have no way to tell you exactly how to find the description box. If you're watching on a smart TV, that further complicates things. You may be able to see the description box, but you can't necessarily navigate it by clicking on the links that I've provided. You may, I don't know, but not to my knowledge. What I do is, if I'm watching on the smart TV and I want to see the description box, is later, when I sit down in front of my computer, I'll pull up the description box in the video and click on the link from there. And last but not least, how did we find each other? Well, it appears that we can thank YouTube for suggesting one of my videos to you, because clearly that's in the lead, followed by YouTube's browse features. And some of you got here by YouTube search, like how to crochet a pot holder or knitting machine review. External sources are things like social media or Pinterest or something like that. And this last bit is from someone else's channel pages, meaning that they could have saved one of my videos to their playlists or provided a link to that video or something like that. If you watched my kitchen appliance video, you'll remember that I'll be keeping my crock pot, even though my beloved Instant Pot claims to be able to slow cook as well. I do that because I think I get different results. And I'm also a firm believer that certain dishes taste better slow cooked rather than pressure cooked. And interestingly enough, Crazy Rhett and Link, a comedy team here on YouTube, did a game called Worth the Wait, where they tested the exact same recipes cooked two ways, one in the crock pot and one in the Instant Pot, and they concurred with my finding. I'll link it below. Not only is it interesting, but it's entertaining too. So I'm really sad to be leaving all my trees. We're here in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains, and we have beautiful terrain and lots of trees, and it's really nice. And we're moving next week to Texas, the plains of Texas, and we don't have a lot of trees on our lot. As a matter of fact, we've downsized the lot considerably. When we moved here, that was 4 years ago. We were from Mississippi, and we thought we were going to be in Mississippi forever. We had a house with 5 acres and a lake, and it was wonderful. And then here we got this, what is it, a half-acre lot, and we felt like claustrophobia. Now we're going to a 0 lot line. So we'll see how it goes. But we are on a golf course, and we chose that specifically, that lot specifically, so we could have some open feeling, so we can breathe or whatever. But I will miss my trees, and that's always been so important to me. But I won't miss the pollen. Here we got lots of pine trees, and I'm not going to miss all that pollen. Look at Buzzy. Can you see her down there? She's hiding behind that bush, and what is she looking at? Can you see the squirrel? She's never caught anything yet. She's still only a year old, and the best she's done is lizards. Now, I mentioned moving. Everything is still on track for moving next week, as long as the government doesn't put the brakes on interstate moving because of the coronavirus. I have to be really, really careful because, if you don't know, I have chronic Lyme, and that suppresses the immune system. So my sweet family has been great about running the errands and disinfecting the bags and doing all that stuff when they bring it home to me. And as a matter of fact, Tucker is there now. I didn't get to go to the closing because, of course, I can't fly, and they're encouraging people not to get in those groups, those germy areas like international airports. And I like to follow the rules because I'm a rule follower. But Tucker drove the 13 hours there to take care of everything, so that he wouldn't be exposed to it either. And of course, he didn't want to bring it home to me. So that was very sweet. So Thomas has been doing the grocery shopping because he's a good boy like that. And oh, you know, speaking of Thomas, some of the yarn that I'm going to show in some of the finished projects that I did was yarn I got from Olivia. I won a giveaway ages ago. And my 6'2", 200 pounds, I think he's up to about 195. Thomas has changed a lot since this video. Look at this. Oh, colorful, beautiful, colorful. And it's fall colors too. That is really pretty, but what is it? Gina, Plymouth Yarn Company. I don't know anything about this. This is exciting. I've never seen this before. Number 7 needles. Hand wash, lay flat to dry. This is fancy yarn. That Olivia, you can always count on some fancy yarn being in there. Isn't that beautiful? Now, I found some information on that yarn. It is still available. I do like it. It is the kind of scratchier yarn, but of course a good soak in some nice hair conditioner or something like that makes a difference for natural fibers. So it's awesome, and I would buy that Gina yarn again. Actually, I didn't buy it in the first place, did it? I won that in a giveaway, but I would buy it myself. So I'm still playing with the idea. Here's what it's supposed to look like. I copied the idea. I'm not original here. But you take the corners and you end up putting a button right there so that it lies like this. Boop. I had a larger hook. I put the project down, came home, picked it up again, and I couldn't remember what hook I used. So I got a little smaller. So you can see, or can you see, that the scales are larger on this one than they are on this side. So I'm not adverse to ripping and starting again. I think it did make up really pretty in this stitch. I'm just not sure this is the project I want my favorite wonderful yarn to be in. But regardless, it's a beautiful yarn and it made up really pretty. So I made some basic hats out of it, and I am so much more happy with the results. This is just a long rib that I folded up, and then it's 3 knits and a purl to give it that ribbing look like that, which I like. And this is just a basic beanie with the leftovers. So I'm really pleased with that. Then I stumbled upon this free pattern, and I really, really like the way it turned out. I will try to link it below, but basically what it is just ribbing here, and then you knit a row, and then you purl 2 together, and then you make 2 the next row after that. and then knit a row, purl 2 together, and then make 2 on a whole row. And that's what you get. Simple and fantastic. I really love the texture that it makes. But as I was looking at it, I thought, gosh, this kind of resembles just, you know, garter stitch a little bit. But just so you can see the difference, this is a garter stitch hat with dog hair on it. So subscribing to the same thought process, I did a little band here like that, and then in this case I knit, I think 1 row, and then I started garter stitch, and then I put 3 rows of knit in between, and you can definitely see that the texture is different. It resembles garter stitch, but it's still very different. And did I show you this one last time? This was the waffle stitch, which is again, no pattern. I just looked up how to do the waffle stitch and made a hat out of it. And you may remember this bamboo blend that it's discontinued now, but Bernat made it, and it feels wonderful. I'm really torn about this because I didn't enjoy working with it, but I really do love the feel of it. And because of its slippy slidey nature, Elise suggested using it to make cowls, which was brilliant. So I made a cowl, and I'm not as pleased with it because while I bound off in pattern, which was simply just ribbing, knit 1, purl 1, the bind off doesn't match the cast on edge of the long tail cast on. And I believe I've read somewhere where there is a cast off that resembles this, so I need to look that up and figure out how to do it. And furthermore, because of the weight of this, like I told you, it was a very heavy yarn, I made the mistake of casting on too many. I think I did 120. What I should have done was probably made it about that much, because over time gravity's gonna pull on this thing because of its weight, but this ends up hanging like a necklace on me, and I don't like that. I want it to stay up more like almost like a turtleneck is what I like for my cowls to do. They're less bulky. I love cowls, by the way. I prefer them over scarves, and I want them to be more fitting around my neck. Just pull it over my head, and that would give me the warmth that I need without having the extra of a scarf hanging down around me and never know what to do with it, stuff it down the front of my coat, and I look like I've gained 10 pounds, and I don't know. I'm just weird like that. But it feels really good. I'm glad that I did a very simple rib with it, and I think I may do another with what's left over. I may even rip this out and use it again. I don't know. But this, of course, could always be donated. Somebody else may think this is fantastic just as it is, but I'm not real pleased with the cast-off edge on that. So if you know a cast-off that mimics this nice and neat long tail cast-on, share it with me below. So I'm halfway through a bind off that you do with a tapestry needle, and it's called the long tail cast off, and I am either really bad at it or it doesn't look anything like the long tail cast on. Furthermore, look how loose I got right here. How did that happen? So this was supposed to be a cowl that fit more like a turtleneck for me, and I don't like it. Maybe I'll go ahead and finish it, and I'll wear it like this so that the pretty side shows up high and this kind of crumples down into my jacket. That may work. Okay, I just couldn't live with that, so I am ripping back, and I'm going to figure out what I want to do next with it. I figure if I didn't want to wear it, I certainly couldn't give it away either, because I just was not pleased with that. Yuck. So we're going to fix it. And when I asked the question yesterday, what are you doing? How are things going while everybody's doing this self-imposed quarantine or this social distancing or whatever we want to call it? And I found that We are a very diverse group in what we have to do and what we can do. For example, we have some people that are working in the transportation industry. Mary works for FedEx, for example, and she's overworked because right now everybody's staying home. They're having things shipped in. Of course, we've got the grocery stores that have to continue to restock because people are panicking and they think that they're, you know, going to be locked down in their home like this is Hurricane Katrina or something. And it's not that way, but yet we tend to get that mob mentality sometime. You know, this person says it on Facebook, and so this person thinks it must be true, and the next thing you know, we have, you know, panic. So anyway, our trucking industries and our delivery and stuff like that, those people are working really, really hard, and I want to give a shout out to them. Then we've got people who are in the healthcare industry, and don't forget things like social workers. People like social workers, they're in big time right now as well. It is a form of the healthcare industry. I'm trying to stay away from the news, but I am watching it right now. And something I forgot to mention out when I was outside is some of you have small businesses that you are really worried about. You understand the need for us to all stay home and that sort of thing, but it's also creating a huge hurt in our economy, especially those of you with small businesses. I'd like to encourage those of you who can to do the drive-thrus, to do whatever you can to help our small businesses. If the small businesses are delivering, that's another great thing as well. So I just want to throw it out there that, you know, some of us who are so very comfortable and everything's fine, you know, that there are many of us that are struggling in other ways besides just health. You know, there's a lot of people that don't have the luxury, and I'm calling this a luxury, of staying home. And some people being able to work from home, or those of us who don't have paying jobs outside the home, we're able to stay home and craft and just do things that are fun. I love the fact that people are cleaning and reorganizing, and you know the things you don't have time for on a regular basis? The positive attitude of saying, let's do it, we have the time, let's put it to good use. I'm just loving the positive attitudes out there. It's incredibly inspiring. Of course, me, you know, I'm getting ready to move, so I'm still packing. Luckily, I did my packing, I started early, and so I only have to do a little bit each day. And I'm down to the last minute stuff. I have a little bit more to do, and then I'm just stuck. So all I have to do craft-wise is yarn work, because my sewing machine, my embroidery machine, all those things are packed, and I luckily have my yarn, and I packed it in such a way that I can get to a lot of it just like this right now. I won't be able to do that, of course, when it's gone, but that's another issue. When we get to the new house, we kind of have to live in this empty house for a couple of days until it's delivered. They still have not given us a date of delivery, so hopefully we're going to be the last on the truck and the first off the truck. That's something we've never had to deal with before, because granted, we have large houses in the past, and so we fill up an entire moving truck. But this time we have given away so much, and we are downsizing a touch. We don't fill up a whole van, so they'll put us on there with other people's stuff, I guess. We're waiting to see how that works out. Now here's the thing I'm doing is I'm trying to learn new things, and that's something that I'm always preaching about, is to learn, grow, and change, evolve. We need to constantly be evolving and be a better version of ourselves, and that could be something as simple as changing your attitude, or it could be learning a new skill. And I saw, oh goodness, I can't remember her first name. Let me look that up, and I'm going to put it down here. Jay, she popped into my head. She's learning the auto harp, and I think that is so awesome. And of course, if I don't have an auto harp, I don't have anything here that I could actually learn something new from that perspective. But I could learn new knitting stitches, and that's something that I've been having a good time with as well. So as long as you have an internet connection, you have the ability to search out and learn new things. What about calligraphy or drawing, or anything that you could do, without having to go out and buy new supplies? Well, I think I better call this quits for now, because I need to go take the dog for a walk he is kind of roaming around outside here. And then I got to get back to that last bit of packing. So I probably won't do another video until we get to the new house. So that will be sometime next week, maybe on my birthday, which is next week as well. Who knows? So I'll keep you posted on that. But yes, I do have lots of hand sanitizer. I have my Wet Ones antibacterial wipes, and I have, I found some gloves under the cabinet, food service gloves, those sort of things. So that'll be great for pumping gas and whatever. So I'm not looking forward to that 13-hour drive with the 2 cats and the dog, but that's our only option. So I'll make it work. I'll tell you about it if it's anything earth-shattering once I get there. So see you in Texas. Talk soon. Bye.
Can you do it again? Can you lift your hand? Can you lift your hand? Oh! Oh, that's so sweet. Hi. Hands up. Nash, hands up. Nash. Hands. Are you typing? You copying Mom? All right.